Hello, welcome to the channel. The purpose of the video is to make a quick summary of the 2-hour podcast I did with NWA Cane Corso about the costs and pitfalls of breeding. This is a quick 10-minute summary that goes out to anybody who's thinking about doing this and who thinks that they're going to get rich off of dog breeding. Okay? So first of all, to start off a decent program, you have to have the knowledge about where to get your dogs from and how genetic problems can come out even 5 generations later. And in other words, just because your females are from, or males from health tested pairs and grandparents, great grandparents, that doesn't mean that there was something 4 or 5 generations that cannot creep up. Okay, so that's number one. The cost of females, 2 females, is $7,000 to $10,000. You always want to start off with 2 females and no male, because something can go wrong with one of the females, something can happen, and then you basically wasted 2 years. Also, if you end up with a male and a female, you have 2 dogs that have never been bred, and you don't know how those dogs are going to produce. Also, now, if you breed that female to the male and you keep some of the puppies, now they're directly related to the father, and that is way too close of an inbreeding. Okay, so the strategy is to get 2 females and then later on find a male. The male you want to find is a male that's about 5 to 6 years old, that has a long history of producing, so you know what his litters are and has a name to him. Okay, next, so you will need an outside stud. Next, the cost of feeding the females, okay, over a 24-month period, because you cannot breed the dog at least until it has a 3rd heat for large breed dogs. So let's say $150 a month times 24 times 2 for the second female, and vet costs, you're looking at about $7,500 if nothing goes wrong and if you don't have insurance. Okay, so we are now at $14,000 to $17,000. So as the wheels are turning, why don't you think about what would have happened if you would have taken that money and put it into Bitcoin 2 or 3 years ago, or some kind of another investment. Okay. Basic embark is going to cost you $150 per dog. That's $300. Now, 70% of hip dysplasia, as I talk about on the podcast, is environmental. However, it is good to do OFA, even though if your dog doesn't have any obvious problems, because it's a huge selling point, and later on as you build your line, if you get 2 or 3 generations in, it looks good if they're all health tested. So for OFA, out where I live, it's about $900 plus 200 to 50 for embark times 2 dogs, you're looking at $2,400. Okay, I'm just keeping notes here as I give you guys these numbers. Okay, so far on the lower end, we're at $16,000, and on the higher end, we're at $20,000. Now you're going to need a stud, like I said. Your female is now 2 years old. You have the 3rd heat. You're going to go out and get yourself a 5-year-old stud, 4, 5, 6 years old. You want the dog to be well-known and a proven stud. The type of a dog where even if you put him with just an okay female, the puppies, because he's so superior, so genetically superior, just come out really strong. So you are looking at about $4,000, $3,500 for that type of a dog. Okay, this is just if you're going to drive to the stud. Okay, because you don't want to do frozen semen first time around. Frozen semen, you're looking at stud fee, and then you can add another $4,000 to progesterone test and put the semen in and do all that stuff. Okay, so again, another cost, and you don't know if it's gonna work. Now, The next thing is you got to find yourself a good veterinarian. The veterinarian, many veterinarians now, as we discuss on the podcast, are anti-breeder, or they don't know anything about breeding. They are not repo vets. They don't do C-sections. When I was on the podcast, the host of the podcast talked about the fact that he had a situation where he needed to get a C-section, and the veterinarian says to him, yeah, I'll do it, but she's gonna get spayed, because they are anti-breeder veterinarian. So you have to have good veterinarian who knows how to do everything. Is a repo veterinarian. Is very hard to find. For me, I'm very lucky. They are only 1 hour away from my house. You also have to know where there's emergency clinics. Okay? This is not cost, but this is the setup. Okay? You're gonna have to learn basic things about what to watch for the female, what to feed her, what to not feed her, and so on and so on. But this is not cost, this is knowledge. But if you don't have that knowledge, you can pay. You can pay because she's not getting pregnant. You can pay because maybe you have a large breed dog and you thought that it's a good idea to feed a large breed pregnant bitch large breed puppy food. It's not. You have to give him medium. The large breed puppy food is designed to slow down the growth. It doesn't have the proper phosphorus and calcium type ingredient. Okay, this is why you cannot feed large breed bitch when she's pregnant puppy food for large breed dog. Okay, so now you have to look at building a whelping box. Just gonna take a look here. Whelping box off the top of my head. You need lights. You need a heating pad. You need a humidifier. You need a humidifying indicator, you need a scale, and at minimum we need a warmer. Okay, this right there, dewormer, okay? This right here, decent whelping box with non-slip carpets, you're now looking at another $800. Okay, this is just a regular good quality whelping box you're gonna build yourself, not something you ordered off of the internet with your own logo on it. Okay? You have to then be ready for complications. Here is the number one complication. Something happens and the female is either aggressive with the puppies, not a good mother, or she is not producing milk. And now you're bottle feeding every 2 hours for the first 1 week, and then every 3 hours the second week, and then every 3 hours the third week. Are you going to take time off of work? Are you going to be up nonstop? Do you have something else to take care of? How is your wife going to handle this, or your girlfriend or whatever? Okay, when you're you're completely out for 3 weeks because you're not sleeping. Do you have kids to take care of? What's going to happen? And even if not, even if everything goes well, you should be home with the bitch for the first 3 days. You shouldn't just be leaving her. So you have to think about this. Next thing is, who are you? Are you established? How are you going to advertise this litter? Why should people come to you? Okay. For emergencies, I had one, this one, right before she has a scheduled C-section, she started to bleed. I said, look, oh man, this is no good. So right away we go to emergency, and the veterinarian tells me she has a torn uterus. So we have to do emergency C-section. And what ended up happening is that emergency C-section altogether without a blood transfusion and with puppy care cost me $5,500. Now for those of you who sit there and are like, oh, 12 puppies times $3,000, 36,000. So $5,500 for that. $4,000 for the stud fee. Okay, so we're at $9,500. Out of the 12 puppies, 8 of them drowned in her blood. Another one passed away. So I had 3. I lost the female because her uterus is now torn. So that's $5,000 to bring dog over from Europe. So we're at what, $14,000. And yeah, plus feeding her for 2 years and everything else. So we're at $17,000. So minus 17,000 plus 3 puppies. And if I want to replace her with one of the puppies, Now I only sell 2 puppies. So I'm on a minus 17,000. You know, let's say the 2 puppies are 2.5, 3.5 a piece. Now I'm on a, you know, let's say we get 7 grand for the puppies. Now we are on minus $10,000. And she didn't produce milk. She wanted to have nothing to do with the pups. So I ended up basically being awake for 3 weeks and feeding them. Thank God it was only 3. Okay, so this is the reality of the situation, and this is, you know, things sometimes go very well, but things sometimes go very bad, and there is chances things gonna go bad for you the first time, 2 or 3 times in a row. And this is why the average person doesn't breed for more than 5 years, because they cannot simply survive. Because you put 2 dogs, you don't have money, and you thought you were going to, you know, have 20 puppies a year and make 60 grand, and that's not the way it works. So don't do it if you're doing it for the wrong reasons. Do it because you love the dog. Do it because you're crazy. Do it because you live in the middle of nowhere and you're an antisocial type of a person who just wants to be around dogs. Do it because you're looking for a specific type and you don't want to rely on other breeders. Do it because you're gonna be going to shows and doing these things. Do it because of these type of things. Do it because you own a farm and you need this particular dog for that particular type of work. But if you think you're gonna make money, forget about it. I'm not saying you won't. I mean, on the end of the day, you have to make some money because the dogs have to break even, at least support themselves. You know, at least you can say you have, it's like a side hustle. Okay, but man, don't count on this as some kind of a money-making scheme, because I'm telling you right now, it's not. For me, I started in 2020. I had my first litter. I can show you pictures of myself with dogs when I was 2 years old in a diaper, standing next to a German Shepherd. I will never stop. I love dogs. I've always wanted to do this. This was planned back in the day, like 2001, before a clown, a failed lawyer who became a politician by the name of McGuinty, made pit bulls illegal in the province. And I had pit bull. Then I was going to start breeding, but, you know, it didn't work out because of the bylaw. But this was always in the making, and it's in my DNA, and I have the lifestyle. I have CPTSD. I don't really leave my house often. I'm a loner. I don't like people, and I like dogs. You know, that's it. So a lot of things can go wrong, and my advice to you is, unless you are a little bit crazy, very passionate, and you're doing this for the right reasons, don't do it. And for one more thing before I hit that button, for the full podcast, there's a little podcast section up in my story. Just follow the link on YouTube. It's 2 hours, and that channel, NWA Cane Corso, has many great podcasts with great dog men and women. Alligator Mom is on there, and we have there is a very good holistic veterinarian on there, and many high level people, chicken breeders, plant breeders, reptile people, obedience trainer. There was recently I listened to an interview from Michael Ellis. It's one of the trainers I look up to. Very good. So check out the channel.